We like talking to this guy, Chris Jericho. Hunting Monsters premieres tonight at 10 p.m. on the Travel Channel. It's exactly the show he should be doing, Hunting Monsters. So Chris Jericho is with us on ESPN Radio, and thank you for joining us. The first place I wanted to start with you, though, is I want to know what happened with you and Haku or Meng or whatever it is that we're calling him, whether you're in the WWE or somewhere else. What happened with you and him in a Mexican airport?
Man, good research team today, Dan. Yeah, we got into a little bit of a kerfuffle with the security at the airport in Mexico in about 1993. And this was back in the days before 9/11 when you could show up for your flight about 15 minutes before. And when I showed up, I happened to have a championship title. And I guess the Mexican security guy didn't like that, and so he decided to kind of mess with me a bit. And I was going to miss my flight, so I got a little bit angry, and I gave the guy a little shove, and then I turned around and pushed the security behind me, and that person ended up being a security girl, and she fell down, and so there was a huge kind of a barroom brawl, and then out of nowhere I hear this, "Hey, what are you doing?" And here comes this 300-pound giant Tongan running through the airport who I happened to be very close friends with at the time, and he got involved, and it was like the two of us back to back in an old Western with the Indian posse surrounding us. Then they drew their guns, and they put us in airport jail for about 2 hours until the president of the airport came and suggested that we give some money to the security guards for their problems, and I don't think those security guards ever really saw that money. I think the president of the airport basically just had a nice dinner on us, and then they let us out, and off we went.
That's a heady play.
That's a great story. How much did you have in your wallet? Like, what did you have to give him?
We didn't have anything. That's the thing. I think I had like 3,000 pesos, which is like $100, and the Haku had like $27 in change or something. It was basically just put together, I think, like $152.12 and a couple meal tickets. That was about it. But it was pretty scary, man. I'll never forget that voice of like "Hey, what you doing, brother?" Seeing like the cavalry coming. And at the time, if you ask anybody in wrestling to this day who the legit toughest guy is, they'll always tell you Haku. And so it was a good guy to have on my side.
Can you tell us about the fight? We'll talk about your accomplishments as well, but maybe.
These are accomplishments.
And we'll talk to about Hunting Monsters in a second. But can you tell us about your fight, your real fight with Bill Goldberg?
That's one of those things that, sometimes there's backstage, shall we say, disagreements that get physical. But much like a hockey fight, they pretty much get broken up pretty quickly. But it reaches legendary status, kind of a David and Goliath type thing. And Bill and I are pretty cool now. So I don't really want to get him angry at me again, because there'll never be a rematch, and I don't ever want there to be a rematch. But yes, there was a confrontation.
But you won that confrontation. You won the confrontation, though, right? You did win it?
Well, that's what legend will have, so I'll let that stand.
All right. So yes or no, you tied him up in a knot? Just yes or no?
Well, I don't know if I tied him up in a knot, but I did, I guess, have him in some kind of a strange Canadian headlock that he couldn't get out of, or chose not to get out of.
Chris?
I'm the farthest thing from a shooter, and like I said, if there was ever a rematch, I think Goldberg would tear my head off with a flick of a wrist. But that night, the shooting gods were with me, and I was able to hold my own, shall we say.
What were a couple of the rejected names that you had before you went with Jericho?
I've been Chris Jericho since my first match, but I think the one that I was dabbling with was Jack Action. I thought that was a great name.
That was great, man. Jack Action.
And so what happened? What happened? Why did you rejected it?
Well, I was practicing signing my autograph on like my binder and stuff. Jack Action, and the N led into a star, like Paul Stanley. Jack Action. And the guy that I was training with, his name was Lance Storm. He said, what is Jack Action? Is that going to be your name? And I was like, I don't know. He goes, that's a stupid name. It's a really stupid name. I was like, I know. I'm not going to use Jack Action. I know it's stupid. Meanwhile, I was like, shit, damn it, what am I going to do for a name? I can think of something. And I looked over, and there was a German power metal band called Halloween that had a record called The Walls of Jericho. And I happened to have the cassette tape in the passenger seat of my 76 bottle green Volare that I was driving at the time. And I just said, Eureka! That's it. I'll be Chris Jericho. The rest is history.
Chris, it was a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for making the time for us.
No, I appreciate it. I can pronounce your last name now, Dan. I've been working on it. LeBatard.
There. Excellent work.
LeBatard. I think last time I was doing the French-Canadian, LeBatard.
Either of them work.
Thank you, Jack.
We roared with laughter at the idea that Chris Jericho's name through 30 titles could have been Jack Action, but we agreed during the break that it's a great wrestling name.
Oh, it is.
Not Chris Jericho, Jack Action.
Oh.
We laughed at it, but we also thought it was great. So put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show on Twitter and Instagram. Jack Action. Great wrestling name or terrible wrestling name?
Then you can change it to Jackson, or that could be a move. I mean,
Yep.
Jack Action is great. I want to be Jack Action for something. What can I be Jack Action for?
Like a movie, right? You want to be an action star.
Yeah, it's a great all-purpose name. It could be a superhero, an action movie.
It's a good porn name.
Baby.
Do you know how quickly I would rush to the theaters to see a movie called Jack Action?
The Rock's the biggest star in the world, right? Imagine if his name was Jack Action, how big his career would be.